Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Peaceful Nick, the medium, and here we have Ruthie. Ruthie is a passionate psychic medium, a certified empowerment coach, a certified astrology, Reiki master, tarot teacher, meditation coach, animal communicator, and spiritual mentor. Welcome, Ruthie. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me today on my YouTube channel. So, give me some background information on your life, anything you would like to share, and then we'll talk about your journey into the spiritual modalities.
Sounds perfect. Hey, Nick, and thank you for having me. So for everyone watching, hey y'all, I'm Ruthie. I call myself your spicy spiritual bestie, and that's really who I am. I think that at my core, I am one of the best friends that you could ever have. And I think that my journey into spirituality, truthfully, helps me to explore that more. I think that in spirituality, even though we need a good kick in the butt, oftentimes,
Yes.
I think that you also need somebody that can listen and that can you can lean on. Mentor or not, that doesn't make me better than you. It just means I've traversed the same things that you have, and I can help you because I'm out of it. Just because I'm out of it doesn't mean I wasn't there. It doesn't mean that we're not the same, but it means I can help you navigate it a bit better. So for me, that's kind of what I've built my business on. I think there's been a lot of trials and tribulations, of course. We'll talk about that. We'll get into it. But I think ultimately it's landed me exactly where I need to be.
I love that you said that, and I'm just going to take notes as we go along. People
Mhm.
need you to listen. And I will say I agree with that in my mediumship practice. Often people just you'll get 10 minutes into a reading and then they'll just start telling their story, telling because they sometimes don't have a sympathetic ear in their life. Sometimes they don't have someone who can just understand them or hold space for them. So I
Yeah.
love that you brought that up. It's one of the most important things I think we do as healers is just allow people to express themselves without judgment. And I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful that you mentioned
Yeah.
right off the bat.
It's a part of just kind of being authentically human. It's our innate need to be heard, to be seen. It's innately within us as human beings. And sometimes I think that we go along our life trying to ignore that and feeling like, we're wrong for wanting to feel needed or wanting to feel seen or, wanting to be heard. And it's not something that should bring us shame. It's in fact something that should um, kind of motivate us to find the people who will do that for us.
Absolutely 100%. To be validated without judgment.
Hmm.
Be validated without judgment.
Absolutely.
Everyone needs that. Healers, we're kind of like a therapist, right? We all need
Yeah.
somebody to talk to because we get
Yes.
a lot of stuff unloaded on us throughout the day.
And therapy is expensive. So
And
if you can't if
exactly.
you can't find a therapist, you got a psychic medium somewhere.
Spiritual guidance 101 right here.
Yes.
I love that because that's true. Therapy, you have to go every week. You can just come to us once every month or two and get your fill. I love that.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I love that is so awesome. When you say that you have a journey into your spiritual modalities on your website, you were talking about that. There was a little snippet about it. Can you explain your journey into the spiritual modality?
Absolutely. So honestly, my journey started 3 years ago. It was when COVID was really hot and popping.
Mhm. We were all taking
And
online classes.
yes, and I wasn't even taking online classes at that point. So I'm the type of person that when something is really popular, I ignore it. I'm like, absolutely not. I don't care. And TikTok was really, really popular around that time. And I was like, nope, I'm not getting on TikTok. I'm not
I said
doing
the
it.
same thing. I said the same thing.
I'm not doing it. No, no, no. But then COVID happened and my job shut down because I
Mhm.
wasn't an essential worker. So then I was like, well, what am I going to do? be bored. And honestly, my journey started with downloading that TikTok app and getting on it. And I used to do videos just dancing, right? Dancing, doing all the trends and stuff like that. And because of COVID, insomnia was real, up late, and late nights are when you find all the tarot readers, all the psychic
Yep.
mediums.
Yep.
And so I started to really get into that community. I have one person who really started this all for me, and her name is Rachel,
Okay.
Soul Vanity Tarot.
Okay.
Um, and she changed my life.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Um, I was her first mod, and this gets me emotional, but I was her first mod, and she was just starting on TikTok. Okay, she just starting like her, and but she's been doing tarot forever, and but she started going on TikTok and doing it. I was her first mod ever, and we went on that journey together, and she really empowered me into believing, as well as other people, that I could do it too. Um, and so after watching her, continuously watching her, I started to get more active in the spiritual community, finding other
Mhm.
people, other psychic mediums, other tarot readers, um, until I landed on my first mentor about 6, 7 months in. And I got my first mentor, psychic medium Jen. Love her to death.
Love her.
And she taught me tarot. And that was my first class ever.
And
Was
how did you like tarot?
I
I came
love
across tarot
tarot.
later, but I love it.
I love tarot. And it really helps me because tarot has so many layers to it. And it's just unbelievable. The astrology that's in there, the numerology that's in there,
Hmm.
the pictures and what it can evoke within you and how you feel, how it links to your intuition, how it links to the person you're reading. I think tarot is a beautiful divination tool. And I think that people don't do it enough, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's incredible because I was a medium for about 5 years before I started tarot, and the way the cards fall out for people, like it gets me emotional because I'm like, how did that happen? I was doing a reading the other day, and the card, I think it was 913 were the numbers on the cards, and that was the birthday of her loved one in
Wow.
spirit.
Yeah.
You
It's
can't make it
beautiful.
up. You
You
can't make it up.
can't. It's beautiful. It's really like tarot is one of my favorite things. And one of the things that I go back to often when I am just kind of in my head and overthinking and just like things are a little shaky and I don't feel grounded, that's what I
Mhm.
go back to. I go back to the beginning. And the beginning for me was tarot. And so
Fundamental.
I'll pull cards for myself or I'll go and get a tarot reading for myself from somebody that I really, really trust.
Hmm.
And I think that's really important. No matter what the modality is, whether it's Reiki, whether it's tarot, whether it's mediumship, go back to where it all began when you get
Hmm.
confused, when you get overwhelmed, when you get a little crazy. I'm a Reiki master, and that came later. Like it's that one's kind of more recent than anything else.
Yeah.
And the other day, I just went to my person who taught me Reiki. She was the one who taught me Reiki, but I needed a Reiki session, and I went back to her. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like I go back to the beginning of it all, and I go back to um, what I learned or whoever it was that taught me to get a better sense of myself, to get grounded again. Because sometimes in this, you get a little overwhelmed.
Well, it's a lot, and it's good when you go back to the person that you're comfortable with when you're feeling uncomfortable because you don't want to go to a whole new person with a whole new energy
Yeah,
because that can make you even
even more
more,
overwhelmed and confused. Yeah. And
it's comforting. I
It
love that.
was it was great. And so that same mentor, psychic medium Jen, who started me off on tarot, I stuck with her for about a year or two. And she was the one who taught me psychism. She was the one who taught me mediumship. She was the one who taught me all those different things. And yeah, then I kind of took a break from social media and TikTok and I had a really big questioning of myself and of my connection with spirit. There was a lot of trying to find community,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
And that's a really big, important thing for a lot of people who are experiencing spirituality. And it's kind of part of what made me who I am today. So I love it. And what I promote because without those experiences and without the falling out of consistent communities back to back to back, consistent friendships back to back to back, and thinking that something was wrong with you, and thinking that maybe you're not psychic, maybe what I'm tapping to isn't spirit, maybe I'm giving the wrong messages, maybe I'm not doing it right,
Hmm.
right? I got to that point in August 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I took a break and I really found myself in that. And
Good.
I really found spirit and my connection. Oh, I got chills in that because nobody could ever make me question that connection again after that.
It's beautiful that you took the time out to discover what you already knew but were doubting, and you really, and spirit, let me tell you, once you make that connection, they're going to make sure you know you have that connection. And they're going to come
1000%.
back like sirens blaring because they're going to be like, you're really doing it. Come on, let's go. You got work to do. We need
Yeah.
healing in this world, and this world needs some healing. Big
Yeah.
thing.
And I
So,
think that what's really beautiful about it is the advocate it made me today. So
mhm,
during that time, I really figured out that I wanted to become certified as an empowerment coach. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a certified coach. So I had that certification to be able to do and speak the way that I want to speak. Because sometimes people don't respond well to like a psychic medium who has no certifications. And I got that
mhm.
in my head a long time ago. And so I made sure to get certified after
Right,
that, even
right.
though it's not important, but that was part of my human kind of need of like,
Yeah,
you know what, I need to do this for me. I want to make sure that I'm confident in myself. And I know that I went through this training and I did these, sessions and I did this learning so that I can have that, you know, kind of stability
right.
within me to know that I can do this. It's a very human thing, but
Yeah.
I honored it and I said, okay, cool. And so that's when the empowerment coach came into play. And then I learned Reiki, which was life changing. I will never not say that Reiki did not change. Like, Reiki changed my life.
I love it. I love
Reiki
it.
changed my life. And learning Reiki, learning that modality, learning the energy healing has truly helped open me up more to myself, if anything. The
Mm,
energy within myself, the power within myself.
the-
And um moving forward, I then learned astrology because I always wanted to learn astrology. Astrology was the hardest one out of
it's a
everything.
lot. It's a
It
lot.
is so much. Oh
Yeah.
my God. But
Yeah.
I
You
loved
have to
it
kind of know science to learn
a little
astrology.
bit. And
Yeah.
I love science too. Like I was a science geek when I was a kid. So it
Same.
kind of brought me back to myself. And I really loved learning about astrology, and that helped me to unlock again just a deeper meaning and a deeper understanding of me. And
Hmm.
so all of these things that I've learned, the psychism, the mediumship, the Reiki, the coaching, the tarot, all of these things unlock deeper parts of me.
Right. Exactly. I love it. And
Yeah.
that's the whole point, right? Well, one of the many points of these healing modalities is we're unlocking parts of us that are eventually just going to help so many other people
Yes.
and
And
help
that's
ourselves because
yes.
I talk about this all the time. We can't be the best healer if we are unhealed. And the more
Yes.
we explore who we are and the more we unlock all of those compartments inside of ourselves, it just makes everything better. We're better at being ourselves, we're better at helping others, we're just better at life, period.
I think that the expectation of healing sometimes for people is hard. And I think, and I say
Yeah,
this a lot, where it's like we're always going to continue down this journey. It's never going to end. I think that to be a healer, you have to be dedicated to healing.
absolutely. Absolutely 100%. Because I tell people on my live streams all the time, look, if somebody is coming to you saying there's an evil spirit connected to you or they're stuck on earth, like they're either scammers or that's their own fear and they're underdeveloped and they're unhealed. Do not
Yes.
give them money. Do not
Yes.
give them money. So what for those who are curious watching this replay, which modalities of healing do you provide overall?
So I do tarot. I do mediumship, or I do psychism as well. I do Reiki. I communicate with animals, and I can do animal Reiki as well, which is really, really fun. Um, I can do astrology readings because I think of all of those modalities and things as healing. Um, I can connect you to your guides, and meditation coaching, which is extremely important, to help you to learn how to meditate and what your preferred version of meditation is, because meditation is different for everybody. But
Mhm.
when you speak of meditation, everybody thinks of sitting and fucking oming. It's not that.
I say that all the time. You can be washing the dishes and meditating. I'm
Yes.
washing
And
the plate,
so
washing the plate.
I think overall, the best modality that I provide is being a spiritual bestie. And it's allowing you to be the best version of yourself and loving you authentically and loving every version of you
Mhm.
authentically. I think we need a lot of people like that in our lives. And I think I think that's the most healing thing that I do, is really provide that love and laughter.
It's so essential, and so many people who aren't vulnerable, who aren't ready to heal. I was just watching a Mel Robbins podcast, and she was talking about people who are alcoholics, which is somebody who's unhealed. They don't get sober until the alcoholism hurts worse than the pain they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of alcoholics and addicts
Yeah.
in my life. Um, and that really hit me. Like I literally watched that 5 minutes before we popped on here together. And it's like, wow, I never thought about it like that. Some people, whether it's addiction or something else, people who are unhealed, when it hurts worse than whatever their behavior is, they're not going to change until then. And some people enjoy the pain.
I will say that that's part of my journey. That's part of my journey. I was in a relationship with my baby father, because I do have a child. And so I had this relationship, and throughout that relationship, now that I'm kind of outside of it and it's years after, I look back and I see all the different ways that I was crying out for help, and all the different
Mhm.
ways that I was hurting, and all the different ways that I self-sabotaged, or I used that hurt, and I was controlling, and I was this and I was that. And you know, honestly, and I'll just be very blunt, like I practically ruined that relationship, and ruined it to the point that it hurt me more than anything. And then I had to change because I didn't want to continue doing that.
So, did you ruin it because of you or because of the relationship? Were you trying to escape the relationship or
I
did you
ruined
feel
it
like you
because of
deserve?
me.
Okay. You didn't
I
feel
ruined it
deserving.
because, yeah, because honestly, like, he was the first person who ever, treated me well. And, I came from a long line of relationships that cheated on me and, you know, just broke up with me for whatever and didn't choose me or whatever the hell it may be.
Right.
Terrible relationships. Um, and I came from a lot of that. And then this was the first relationship that I was heard and I was seen and I was treated nicely and I was,
You didn't
and
know how
then,
to handle it. We've all been there.
yeah,
Every female presenting person who identifies as female that I know feels that deeply. And it's so important and nobody talks about it.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that vulnerability because, and it'll make me cry because I look back at relationships before my husband that were like, I was begging to be loved. I just wanted to be loved. And
Yeah.
we make decisions and do things and say things and act certain ways that we look back later and like, I'm so embarrassed about that, but we just wanted to be loved.
We did. We
And we
did.
didn't know, nobody taught us.
And
Nobody
then
taught us.
once I got to the being loved, it was like, nah.
Mhm.
This isn't what love is. You gotta be kidding me.
Right. It feels too good. I don't deserve it.
Yes.
So
And
we have to
so,
forgive ourselves.
and that was a part of my story too. You
Yeah.
know, it really brought me to where I was today. Um, my communication has improved. Everything has changed for me. And I am really aligned with my higher self. Now, am I all the way there? Not yet.
It's a journey forever.
Right.
We're going to be anybody out there who's listening, if anybody claims they've reached the pinnacle, they're lying. Nobody reaches the pinnacle. Nobody gets to the end of the road. No, it's a
No.
journey forever. We never learn
Yes.
everything about the healing modalities. We never learn everything about ourselves. It's
Yeah.
ongoing.
I think it's super important and like um to just acknowledge that and accept that.
Right.
Accept it. Just when we're healing, do it. Don't do it for clout. Don't do
Oh,
it, to
yeah.
have, people recognize you or see. Do it because you want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, cool. That's fine too. Don't
Yeah.
force yourself, but do it because you want to. And it's a very important question to ask yourself. It's a very important question to say, like, why am I on the spiritual journey? What is my point here? What do I want to do? Why do I want to continue doing it? If it's for you, great. But if it's not, you've got to sit with yourself and you've got to analyze that and you've got to understand why it's not for you and why you're doing it then at all.
Right. I have a funny story about that. I had one of the my free workshops where, 30 people come on to do like an intro to mediumship. And I had a couple of mediums in there and I asked them each, why are you a medium? And one of the people said, for the attention I get.
Wow. You
And I
know, it pays to be authentic. Okay.
said, okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. That's not why I do it, but okay. But yeah, everybody's on their own journey. And yeah,
As
it was
long
kind
as
of,
you're honest.
yeah, I said, thank you for being honest, but I'm very surprised by that answer. So
At least you were honest. I think that that's one of the most important things alongside of like asking that. As long as you're honest, I can't tell you nothing about yourself.
right, yeah, exactly. You. So do you have a favorite type of service? Like what's your favorite that you provide?
My favorite service that I provide is my inner child healing course.
Oh, I have questions about that later. Go ahead and tell me about
Um,
it now.
that's my inner child healing course. This course really came from my heart. Um, it's like my baby for real. And it's a 6 week long course. We dive into inner child healing. We do meditations. I do Reiki for you guys. And we do exercises like journaling exercises.
Mhm.
We share with each other. We do empowerment exercises. And we really bring all of that stuff to the table. It's 4 weeks of that. And then the last 2 weeks are certifying you in Reiki 1 and 2
Oh, that's
um,
awesome. That's a
so
big
that you
package.
can, yes, so
That's a
that you
big package.
can understand how this energy works through you and how you can use the universal life force energy to work through yourself and understanding your energy and understanding all those things. And then you can also help healing with others because you can see that. It allows you to really tap into that life force energy and really transform yourself. So I put that together and it's
I
that
think that
four
is
weeks.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So what does it look like when I have 25 questions just about
I
that.
love it.
Okay. Why, first of all, why is it important for someone to heal their inner child?
Oh man, because your inner child is where it all starts. Your inner child is where your first heartbreak was, where your first abandonment was, your first rejection, your first everything, your first initial reaction to the world itself, right? And
Mhm.
all of the different things that you can experience. And sometimes when we're growing up, we society almost wants us to build an intolerance to those feelings and those things around us. And they want us to just kind of keep going, keep going, keep going. And sometimes for a lot of us feelers, a lot of our empaths out there,
Mhm.
we can't do that.
Mm-mm.
We can't. And we don't necessarily understand where these feelings of shame come from, where these feelings of regret. Why am I so scared to do this? Or why am I so scared to do that? Why did this person tell me no, I can't go to their group function affect me this way and spiral me down into depression? In order to understand those things, you've got to go to the root. And where the root is your inner child.
So name just one. I don't want you to give all your class away for free, but
Mhm.
what's one technique someone who's dealing with some inner child pain, what's one technique or thing in your workshop, something you teach them to do?
So, one of the easiest techniques is affirmations,
Okay.
affirmation work. And when you are utilizing affirmations, and not just any affirmations, create your own. Right? Create your own affirmations. What speaks to you? What do you need to hear? And the reason that's so important is because you are having to give that to you, right? Not something someone else made, but what do I need to hear today? So for me, my affirmations, when I'm going through a really rough time or when I'm feeling, or let's say I'm triggered, right? I am enough.
Hmm.
It's going to be okay. This is not the end all be all. This is just where this comes from. I am safe. I got me. And those are my affirmations from my inner child because truthfully, the biggest thing that really rocks me or affects me would be rejection, would be abandonment. So whenever I feel like FOMO, when FOMO comes up,
Yeah.
I remind myself that I'm not missing out on anything because I am everything, and
Hmm.
that's enough.
I love that. And I love that one of your affirmations is I am safe. I use that too. And I think so many people, girls and boys who are grown adults now, had a feeling of not feeling safe in their family.
Yeah.
And there is no, and so then all of their lives, they're looking to feel safe and gripped with this anxiety all the time. And so anxiety just comes from this fear of what is going to happen. And people underestimate healing the inner child work. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important things we can do because
1000%.
all of our behaviors in adulthood, any dysfunction we bring into any relationship stems from that inner child because
Yes, it
that inner
does.
child's hurt and that inner child usually hasn't been healed. That's why two people come into a relationship, both with wounds. What happens?
Yeah,
You see
thousand
people,
percent.
yeah, you see people, famous people trauma bonding in real time.
Yes. And so
And
it's
then,
like
oh,
it's very, 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 it's one of my favorite things that I teach. It comes from my inner child. And so in healing my inner child and helping to kind of understand her and support her, that's that's one of the ways I heal her is by
I
helping to heal other people's.
absolutely. And I heard somewhere on Instagram years ago when I was a teacher, be who you needed when you were their age. Be
Yes.
who you needed. And I say that to people all the time because we all need somebody, no matter what age we're at. No matter what age we're at.
Think about it like this. We are our higher self for her.
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful way to put it.
And
Our
that's how
higher
I
self can heal that inner child.
Yes. And that's how I think about it, where I'm my higher self for her, and my higher self is just like the old lady, the old lady that's lived all this life,
Right.
and she's letting me know and she's helping me get along, get to where she's at, you know?
Yeah,
And that's how I think of it.
I think that's beautiful. When you say that you are the spicy spiritual bestie, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think that you cannot go through life without a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
So I am that bestie that is I'm spiritual and I have all of these words of wisdom, but I also am not afraid to tell you what you need to hear. And that comes out a little spicy. It comes out a little spicy because when I I'm that type of person, when I know you're disrespecting yourself and you're not seeing yourself at your highest potential and you're limiting yourself, I get a little angry.
Right. What is your sign? What are your signs?
I'm a Libra sun, a Gemini moon, and a Virgo rising.
I am Sag, Aries, fire, fire.
Love all the fire. I'm getting all the fire
So
people
you talk
lately.
about spicy.
I am very spicy. I've got to give it how it's supposed to be given, and sometimes for me, like a lot of my passion comes out when it comes to people underestimating themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so a lot of people do that. And to be quite honest with you, it pisses me off. So I'm your bestie and I'm spiritual, but I'm gonna give it to you the way you need to hear it.
And people do need to hear things, and you're not a true friend if you're not being honest with people. Now,
Yes.
and like you said, the way you need to hear it. Not
Yes.
everybody needs to hear it in the same way.
Nope.
But to my husband, I need to tell him things a certain way. My
Hmm.
sister, I can literally say anything to her in any way. She's
Yeah.
also Sag.
Yes. I love it.
And then I have one very good friend who I could literally say anything in any way. And then another friend where I have to be more delicate. And so, but I'm still going to say it because it's
Hmm.
important.
The way that you need to hear it.
When you need, we have to be use discernment sometimes, but what is this necessary? Do I really need to say this?
Absolutely.
Or do I not? So I love that. I love that you're the spicy spiritual bestie. I love watching your live streams. You're
Thank
always
you.
helping people. You're always honest. You're always authentic. And that's another thing. We need more authenticity. The way the age of social media, we had glossy magazines. I know I'm pretty sure you're much younger than I am, but in the 80s we had these high gloss magazines with all these wafy thin models and everybody wanted to look like them
Yep.
and now we have social media and filters and all that stuff. And it's like we need more authenticity. And I saw a lady on TikTok say, we're going to go through ugly as hot phase where people crave authenticity so much. They don't want to see filters. They don't want to see teeth that have braces on them. They don't want to see people with nose jobs. They don't want to see people with liposuction. They just want, we're going to be craving authenticity more and more.
I think to that point, it's so interesting because I tagged you in the video I made yesterday.
Mhm.
And I was telling my friends last night, I said, I still can't believe I made that damn video. My hair was crazy. My sleeping mask is up there. And in the past, I would have never created that. I would have never done that. But it just kind of speaks to that authenticity. It kind of speaks to me getting to this space where I'm like, I do love me. I
Right.
do. I love me and I love all the versions of me. The
Yep.
light, the dark, the sarcasm, the spicy, the crying, all of it. I love all of me. And it's a journey to get there. But you have to be authentic within yourself to even identify, why don't I love me? Do I love me? What's wrong with me? What do I think is wrong with me? You have to identify the fact that you could possibly be the problem in your life.
Well, and we hear so much outside stuff from parents, uncles, grandmas, stepmothers, boyfriends, girlfriends,
Hmm.
best friends, sisters. You know,
Yep.
we hear so many negative things throughout our life, but as I've matured a little bit, I realized that's all a projection of their insecurity. And it's
Hmm.
not that I have this problem, that problem. It's that, I'm not a perfect person. Look at some of my TikTok videos. I look like I've just been run over by a train. Like my hair's, because I have very frizzy, curly hair. It goes crazy.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like you said, I just got to get the message out in that moment. I'm not going to go fix myself up to do a 30-second video. I'm not going to do that.
No, no,
And
yeah.
if people, and sometimes the videos that you spend the least amount of time on are the ones that get the most
I
views.
know. I know. That video is like popping, and I'm like, okay, I guess.
I made one about mosquitoes, which is not in my niche. Somebody was asking me about a mosquito bite, and it's got like 2.6 million views. This was a couple of years ago, and it took me literally 1 minute to make.
It's the weirdest thing.
And
It's
it's
the
not in my
weirdest
niche.
thing.
I was like, in 5 minutes, it had 10,000 views. What happened? Like,
But it's because of the beauty of being human.
exactly. And that's what we need more of. So how do you empower others on their spiritual journey?
Well, I think that's a very loaded question. I kind of do a lot. When it comes to the empowerment of other people, I remind you that you're exactly where you need to be. I am the type of person that I really understand what anxiety looks like. I struggle with anxiety myself. I really understand what depression looks like. I struggle with that myself. So when it comes to those things, and when it comes to people who come to me and they're like, hey, I'm going through this today, my first words are, I'm sorry. And what do you need? What do you need me to do for you?
Yeah,
What can I do?
right.
Um, so for me, and empowering other people, it's truly just being there. It's truly just being there and being able to listen and being able to sympathize and being able to empathize and being able to give a person exactly what they need in that moment because that's all they need.
So you're not a person, which we've all known, that says this is how you fix it, stop complaining.
No,
Have you ever known
because
anybody like that?
well, I used to be like that.
Oh,
I
I'm
used to
sure
be
I've done
like
it. I
that.
am absolutely sure I've done the same thing.
I used to be like that. You don't learn without trial and error. You
Yeah,
have to be willing to make those mistakes and you have to be willing to meet those challenges of yourself. Because yeah, at some point that was me. And it's like, well, stop complaining. Like, what are you doing? But honestly, not everybody needs to hear that. And sometimes
right.
when you start to feel that way and when you're like, oh my God, all this person does is complain and they don't want to fix their life, you just have to walk away because it's not for you to fix. It's
That
for them to figure out.
Right. That actually happened to me a couple years ago. I had a friend that I've known for decades, 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 and that is exact story happened. It was just we were both going
You
in
have to.
trajectories, and I just said it's time to take a break.
Yep, you have to. Because if it's going to affect you in that way that you are now angry and building resentment towards this relationship, then you don't need to be in it. And
Right.
that's that. It's their
Yeah,
journey. And sometimes when you get those people that are like, stop complaining about it and just fix it, it's because they're fixers. And they want to fix the situation. They want you to fix the situation. They don't want you to suffer anymore. They don't want you to be in this mindset anymore. It's not from a place of malice, but love and almost frustrated love. Like, get out of this. You don't deserve this. But you can't force somebody to see the potential that you do.
that's right. And that's exactly what happened in that situation I'm talking about. It's like, don't you see you are amazing? And they're
Yeah, you're
like,
the prize, man.
yeah, yeah, I'm an incredible person, also a Reiki master, also a healer. Just, I send her love. It's all
Yeah,
you can really do. Do
you
you
do
ever
gotta.
think that people who are outcasts in their families have more of a tendency to become a healer?
Well, yes, I do. Because I think that I think that the more different you are and the more challenges that you have to kind of go through, that black sheep, because I'm the black sheep of my family.
Me too. Me too.
So I think that the more challenges that you go through, the more of a different perspective you have of life and
Mhm.
of other people and what they go through because you've been through it.
And the more the outcasts of the family are the ones that are the truth tellers often because they're the feelers,
Yes.
and the feelers become healers.
Healers. Yep.
We may have just come up with something. We need to copyright that. Ruthie and Nick, 2025.
Yes.
Feelers become
They
healers.
do. One of the things that I love to say is you gotta feel it to heal it. I say it all the time.
Yep.
Because you do. You have to be willing to feel those emotions and feel those ways and feel those things in order to actually identify what it is that you need to heal.
Yeah, because if you just ignore it or become somebody who's addicted to something, whether it's drugs, alcohol, shopping, gaming, gambling, sex, whatever it is, Eckhart Tolle says this, one of my favorite books, don't know if you've read it, is A New Earth. Changed
I've heard
my,
about it.
that was the major pinnacle of my spiritual journey. The first one was the Celestine Prophecy in 1995. Okay, that's before your time, probably.
I was born in 1995.
The second big one was 2014. My niece sent me A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and he says in the book, you have addiction or any kind of mental dysfunction comes from failure to face and move through your pain. And that's such an epidemic in every aspect of our society. And that's not just individually, that's culturally as well. We have a lot of different cultures that need healing, and we need to communicate better. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding on every side,
Yeah,
plus other things make it worse politically.
of course.
We won't go down that road, but it just makes everything crazy, right?
Yes, and I think that honestly, I think all of us are outcasts in some way, shape, or form. I think we all have our own like ways that we feel as if we're different. I feel like there's a lot of people who feel like, they're attacked for certain things or whatever it may be. I think everybody has this ability. Everybody has this ability within themselves to go within and to do this and to really start healing those things. But I think it's different because some of us want to and
Right,
some of us don't.
right. Some of us are more comfortable in the pain.
Yes.
It feeds certain people. I'm sure you've known them and you see them on TV. They're
See them
they
everywhere.
are thriving off of they're thriving off of the pain. I've known women who've been in abusive relationships, like physically abusive relationships, and they go back and they go back and they go back, even though they have the ability to escape. Now, I'm not saying that they're not manipulated. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying sometimes we're so hurt inside, we
That
can't,
we love the hurt.
right? Because it
That's
feels
all
good.
we know.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
Like the old saying, when you know better, you do better. And sometimes you don't know better for a very long time. And
Yep.
then we hate ourselves for it when we realize it.
Yep.
And so then that's a whole other thing. You can escape, but then you're like, now I have to process all that on top of it. Why
Yep.
didn't I do better? But we just have
Agreed.
to forgive ourselves for that because we're not
Yes.
perfect and we don't know it. If people never taught us, how would we know?
Giving ourselves grace is the most beautiful things that we could do for ourselves. For real.
100% agree. You also have the alignment package, which is natal
Yes.
chart numerology and human design. That fascinated me. What is that?
Okay, so it's actually new. Um,
Hmm.
Now I'm not an expert in numerology or human design. It's very basic, but I think that people can get a lot out of basic knowledge
Yeah.
from all those three. So I am a certified astrologist. But you can get in this session with me where we go over not only your natal chart, but we go over your numerology, we go over your human design, the basics of all these things to help you to get a better understanding of yourself, of how your energy works, of why, you stay stuck in certain patterns or you do certain things.
Hmm.
It can definitely help you understand you on a deeper level um, with math and science.
What is human design?
Okay, so human design is pretty much an exploration of how your energy centers interact with each other. Whether you have
Um,
open channels, whether you have closed channels, it's the thing where it says like you're a manifesting generator, you're a projector, all those different things. It's so much more to it because, again, I'm not an expert and I only know a little bit, but the little bit I know has helped so many people. So
yeah.
I'm like, you know what? If I can give that little bit to people and explain this little bit and help them understand how their energy can work with each other, how those centers are, where that intuition center is, where your heart center is, where your ego center is, knowing all of those things, seeing if you have certain channels, if you have certain gates that are open or closed. Like it's really understanding those things to help you to get a clearer picture of yourself and how your energy works within you.
Do you guide them to find out where their channels are, or do you connect with spirit and tell them? Like, do you scan
So
them, or
it's
did they
a
do it?
No, actually, it's a human design chart. You can get a human design chart done for free.
Oh,
You look it up, you put in all your details and stuff like that, and then it gives you a chart. And it's almost like, and you see that behind
yeah.
me?
I have the
So
same.
it's almost
That's what
right.
that
So it's
is.
almost like this, except
Chakra.
there's different energy centers outside of that. There's like two more, like that are in different places, and they show you. And then there's little, what are they called? Gates, I think. Yes, there's little gates and so there's like three in the crown chakra. There's it
Yeah,
goes everywhere. And depending on which gates are highlighted, uh and how the channels interact with each other kind of tells you. So for me, I have gate 61, which is in my crown chakra. That's called the gate of the seer, right? That pretty much says, okay, you are probably clairvoyant. You can see these things. This is how you get information from spirit. Then there's your spleen center, which is like where your intuition comes from. Depending on if that's closed or if that's open, tells you how either it can either be affected by everything else and you need to learn to establish your own energy in the center, and that's why it's harder to, trust your intuition and trust spirit. Or it's a defined center and you understand this energy because you know it is yours. So it's
that's
it's really
amazing.
fascinating. It's
That's
really fascinating.
amazing. I had never heard of that before. I
Yes,
have, but I just don't remember probably.
human design is amazing.
I'm definitely going to have to read up on that for sure.
Yes, you should. Absolutely.
Um, Final question.
Yes.
What has been your most profound experience, either overall or individual experience with a client or in your life, um, to date?
I think it would be my healing circles.
Oh,
I do my healing circles bi-weekly on Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. And it's for a low cost, like $15. Now, this is the most authentic part of me. And along with the inner child, like these are my babies because it really came from my heart and it really came from understanding me. And so for me, one of the most important things on your journey, if you look into like the stages of a spiritual awakening,
mhm.
right? There's a stage there that's about exploration. And that's what I'm all about
Yeah.
because as you can see, I do so many different things. And
Yeah.
at one point, people told me I couldn't do all of that. They said, "Oh, you can't do that. It could be
Doubters.
confusing. It could do this, blah, 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 blah." But I do it all because I can inspire and spark somebody else to do it too.
Right.
You can do this and you can do this. And so my healing circles are actually an exploration. None of my circles are so different from anybody else's in the community because none of my circles look the same. It's something different every other week.
So what happens in a healing circle?
So pretty much what we do is I take an aspect of spirituality, whether it's a modality, a divination tool, whatever it may be. And we talk about it. We go over it for the first, 30, 20 or so minutes. And then for the last 30 or so minutes, because it's an hour long, we everyone goes into like their rooms, right? And they practice what we were just talked about, what we just, went through. I've done water scrying, fire scrying, we've done like spell work, we've done psychism, mediumship, even learning a little bit of astrology, and really kind of getting into this space of because I want people in a safe space to explore all the different things in spirituality so that they understand what they want to do, what they want to move forward in doing. Because sometimes people want to do everything until you get faced with it and you're like, oh God, that's actually really hard and I really don't want to do this,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So if you have a look at what that may look like, at what that may feel like for you, then you can identify if it's something you actually want to do and move forward in doing. And that's what my circles provide you with.
Oh, that's fast. So it's like it's a mini course
Yeah.
if you want to
They're
do.
like mini courses, and we try a little bit of everything. So, for example, tonight I have a circle tonight, and we're going to be doing energy scans tonight. And so
That's
I'm gonna teach them about that, what it means, what that looks like, what I would like them to keep in mind when they're doing it. And then when we put it into practice, we all come together after. I kind of pop in and I'm like, "How's everything going?" And
awesome.
then we all come in together after and we talk about our experiences and how it made us feel. I think that my circles really, really, after circle every time, I feel such a sense of just pride in myself and for what I'm doing because I'm really rewriting the narrative when it comes to spirituality and the community because there's so many people that's going to tell you you can't do everything at once. And no, you can't, but
You can
you
do
can
a
try
lot.
it,
You can do a lot.
but you can
So for
try it.
those of you watching this replay, this was recorded Thursday, February 20th. So what do you know what your next week, February 27th will
It'll
be?
be
Because this is going to come out, I believe, the 26th.
It's gonna be so it won't be like my circle is every other
Oh, okay.
week. So my circle won't be until March 6th, the next one.
Okay. All right. So, and they can find you on your website. Everything will be
Yes.
linked below in the video. So, are there any other services or specials or anything aside from what we already talked about that you want to mention?
Um, no, I think it's all I think we talked about everything.
Good. Awesome. So, everything will be linked below. Ruthie, you are absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad we had this conversation. You are a beautiful, wonderful, authentic light in this world, and your message is needed more than ever. And I just really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me on here. I love that it was so fun. I think that if there's anything I'd have to leave off with, it's just believe in you,
Hmm.
you know? Like you can do it. You can do whatever you set your mind on. And I have chills as I said that. So I guess it's spirit, huh?
Moving through you.
So whatever it is that you think you can do, don't talk yourself out of it. Just try it and
Yeah,
you'll see.
because in 5 years, if you didn't try it, yep. I love that. That's
Yeah.
a great ending line. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Hmm